Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is July the 14th, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar.
Grand failure, and welcome to the Pauline Shit Show. The Pauline.
We must, all courts have a court jester, so there it is. Okay. Let me pull up a couple of things here. So if you have your dictionaries available, if someone could look up the word ENS.
Grand failure, Negroes. Get out your
That would be, just one moment. Let me make sure I lock the meeting this time. If you could look up the word ENS, E-N-S, in your dictionary. Just take a moment to look that up so that we can talk about what that is. And while you're looking that up, all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3 Moorish American Al-Moroccan consular court action, or actually a court action. I am Sovereign Living Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie in Capitis Diminutio in red ink, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. No United States corporation, company, citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, assigns, nor any derivatives thereof has personam jurisdiction, nor territorial jurisdiction, nor subject matter jurisdiction over me, nor over any more. Okay. So if you have your dictionaries and you've looked up the word ENS is the word that we want to look up, because we're going to put that with a term and then give it some meaning, because the ultimate term that we're looking for today in this study is going to be ENS LEGIS, L-E-G-I-S. And knowing the difference between ENS LEGIS and NOM DE GUERRE, they're different. Islam in the chat. If someone wants to read that out, what ENS means, that would help us out here. If you could star 6 and go ahead and read that out, that would help. And it doesn't matter who, anyone. It's in the chat as well. Now y'all gonna make me do all the work today.
Islam.
Islam interest.
What's the unabridged second edition? And the noun, a being or thing. In philosophy, abstract being existence in the most general sense. Also that which has being either concrete or abstract. Power, virtue, efficacy, essence.
Those are good words. Those are living words. Justice Theodore, you put something in the chat there too that's important.
Islam.
Go ahead,
Empress.
Nobility. Go ahead.
This comes from Black's Law, 4th edition, ENS LEGIS. It's Latin, a creature of the law, an artificial being, as contrasted with a natural person, applied to corporations considered as deriving their existence entirely from law. I yield.
Islam, which is quite different from a nom de guerre. Nom de guerre, we know what that is, but if you want to go ahead and grab your dictionaries and look up the word nom de guerre or any similar derivatives of nom de guerre, or any, you know, sometimes you can find nom and not the whole term, but if you can find the whole term for nom de guerre, go ahead and look that up, and if someone could read that, that would be helpful as well.
Hey, Theodore, you got your Halloween costume on today?
Okay. Just a moment. Nom de guerre. If you want to take look that up, and if we could get someone to read that, that would be great for our study purposes.
Islam. Don't have nom de guerre. Don't have nom de guerre, but have nom. Webster Unabridged Second Edition. It has literally a war name, a fictitious name, or one assumed for a time, a pseudonym. Here's nom de no, this is nom de. That's nom de plume. Literally, pen name, a name assumed by an author or writer. And that's nom de plume, P-L-U-M-E.
Okay. So, an assumed name. Okay. And then
or it also has war name, W-A-R, war name.
War name. Okay.
I have a very poor dictionary, but it also says a war name and pseudonym. And this is a New World Dictionary of American Language, Second College Edition. I don't have those great tools, but even this one, that's what this one says.
Well, it's giving you the correct definition of a nom de guerre. Okay. So I have seen, so now we know that when we go into fake courts, if we were to go into a fake court, which we do not do, but if we were to go into a fake court, and even when we state our sovereign appellation, whether it be the sovereign-born appellation that our sovereign mothers gave us, or whether it be our pre-chosen national name, the first thing that the fake courts do is capitalize it. Okay? They capitalize it. They put it in all capital letters so that they can take jurisdiction. Okay? The reason why that is done is because they don't have jurisdiction of those of us who are standing right there in living, breathing, speaking, being ourselves. They don't have jurisdiction. They never have, and they never will have jurisdiction over a sovereign living Moor. Never. I want to make sure that I get that I get this on the screen. What does it say here? Contrast it with a natural person. Okay. So on their paper, because they know that they do not have jurisdiction over the Moors, on their paper, they go ahead and try and take it. And then they'll say a name in all capital letters. They'll speak a nom de guerre and say, is this you? And they'll start asking questions. Is your name whatever, John Doe? Well, when they're speaking from their paper. Okay? When they're speaking from their paper, it sounds the same way as when we're speaking in ancient English, our natural sovereign appellation. Yes, and they will, Justice Theodore, call you Mr., Ma'am, Mrs., etc., which are titles, their titles, fraudulent titles that they apply to their corpse on paper. A nom de guerre is also a corpse. So let's make sure that we put that up here. A nom de guerre war name is a corpse. A nom de guerre is also a debtor. And let's go ahead and put all of this in black, because that is what nom de guerres are, and that's what they look like. Okay, they're in black ink. Yes, Justice Theodore says, he put the definition of nom de guerre in the chat: an assumed name under which a person engages in combat or some other activity or enterprise. Some gave themselves fierce nom de guerres like Rambo. That's found on Google. So, yes, we are not at war with anyone. Okay. Nom de guerres, because it's a war name, there's no way that those of us who live by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice could have ever been a nom de guerre. So a nom de guerre is not even created by us. It is a creature of the state. And notice I put that in all capital letters in black ink. And death bracket, meaning that it's not alive, it's dead. Okay? Now, in the past, when I first woke up, I used to see people attempting to use what they were calling an ENS LEGIS, and this was more who meant well, and I'm so glad that we had them as examples to use and to look at so that we could learn from them, because they were teaching us along the way what to do and what to look for, and then what not to do. So both of those, all three of those are lessons: what to look for, and then also what you're looking at that's not being said or that we don't see. So let me see in the chat. Justice Frank put abstract being, existence in the most general sense. Obsolete is metaphysics. Justice Frank, is that for ENS LEGIS? Entity, being, or existence, and actually existing being?
Yes, ENS LEGIS.
That's for ENS LEGIS. That's what it sounded like. Because ENS LEGIS, whenever it says also obsolete, it says chemistry.
Yes, ENS.
All of those, yes, all of those words have something to do with the living or the moors in some way. It also says in that definition of ENS LEGIS, something supposed to condense within itself all the virtues and qualities of a substance from which it is extracted. Essence. That's good. That's good. Those are living terms, living terminology, living words. Okay. And the reason we're bringing this out now is because we have successfully placed on the public record that we are not a nom de guerre. We're not any name in black ink and capital letters. We know that. That's a nom de guerre. It's a war name. We're not at war. ENS LEGIS is the essence, okay? In other words, it's just a delegated, something that we say, okay, that's not me, but it is a creature of the law, and we're the law. So with ENS LEGIS, a red name in all capital letters, and that's the difference between ENS LEGIS and nom de guerre, is the color of the ink and who created it. Our ancestors, there's no way you could have fooled them into being any name in black ink and capital letters. There's no way you could have fooled them into being that. So I had to look and see, where did the subtle change happen? And it always happens on paper first. That subtle change happened where there was a hypothecation of something that our ancestors did, because everything that the hybrid has done, they have not thought of anything new at all. Nothing new. All they thought of was, they looked at what we did and said, okay, let's kill it. Let's create a dead version of the living. Let's create a dead version. And everything they did was a dead version of us. And it's not even a dead version of us. It's a whole new creature that's dead. It's an entire creature that is dead from them, a nom de guerre. So we, now I want to bring something forward that I'd like for us to take a look at, because I've never heard anyone mention it or say anything about it or anything like that. If someone would pull up the Constitution from anywhere, in fact, and I'll go ahead and go out onto the internet and grab a copy as well. Okay, I am going to just pull one up from somewhere on here. Let's see. I want to point something out here. Because it's something that Let's see.
Islam Empress,
Right
can you
before
open that PDF? Can you open that PDF I just put up there?
Okay. Yes, I can. And I opened it about 30 times. Okay. Okay, I see what you did here. That's beautiful. Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Okay. We can use this one that you did, and then and just take a look at it, because there's a couple of words down here at the bottom that I want to bring forth that no one has looked at that I know of and actually given an explanation for it. Okay? And I'd love to hear what you all have to say about it, about these words, because I have some things have been coming to me about these last few words. Right here at the bottom, it says, done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states present the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord, 1787, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 12th. The 12th, in witness whereof we have hereunto subscribed our name. What does this mean right here, the 12th? What are they referring to there? Does anyone have any idea what they're referring to? The 12th. It's not a date because they gave the date already right here. Present the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord, 1787. So it's not the date. And of the independence of the United States of America, the 12th. What does that mean? That's good. Empress, she put it could mean tribe. Justice Theodore says, shouldn't it be the 13th? Justice Theodore, what do you mean by shouldn't it be the 13th? The 13th what?
Islam, I meant the 13 original colonies. Is that correct?
I'm asking you what it is that you meant by the 13th.
I meant the 13 original colonies. They were supposed to sign.
Okay. Both of you are correct, depending on which version of the Constitution you're talking about. Both of you are correct. So I'm going to do something here. Let's just do it this way. I'll do it this way because I want to show something here. I want to show you something here, and the reason I'm bringing any of this up is because I want us all to do our own study on this and what it means. Okay, I'm going to have to unlock the meeting because there are people trying to get in. Let's see. There they are. Okay. Islam. Okay. So I want to do something here that is going to put a little context to what we're doing. Let's see. And give us something to think about.
Busy making up your bullshit history again, huh, Pauline?
Yeah, you will want to speak quickly there, subject. Okay. Just 1 second here. Let's. Okay.
Better lock it up
And
again,
then
Pauline.
let's look at also. Let's look at and then there's one that is in white, which, let me see if I can get it up here. The one that's in white. Okay. Now, some might not think that the color of the letters plays that big a role, but it does. So, yeah, let's take a look at this. Because we need to put some clarity here. So that we can see what the 12th is.
Hey, my ancestors told me you're going back to.
Wow. So he signed in under about 5 or 6 names so he could get into this meeting. That's a lot of effort to put into trying to, disrupt a meeting. You're signing in 12, as many times as you can sign in under different names and everything, and you just sit there and hide in the meeting so you can get your words in. That's a lot of effort to put in, subject. That's a lot of effort to put into this meeting. All right, we love you, but you still have to be out of here. So on the screen here, this right here in red is an ENS LEGIS. That's an ENS LEGIS. And it's actually this one right here. This is an ENS LEGIS. This is an ENS LEGIS also. And this is a sovereign heir. We do everything in red and all lowercase letters because we look up the terms, and let's put this on the screen too. We've looked it up before. We want to keep putting it out there because we know that and then in Capitis diminutio, nolo in capitis diminutio minima, in capitis diminutio media, and in capitis diminutio media can be like that too, and then in capitis diminutio maxima. And this one is generally in black. This one is generally in black, or partially in black and partially in blue. And this one is in blue, and this one is in red. And again, we're putting this out here for our study so that we can study and look at, look this up. Yes, the 12 names. Okay. Yes, in the chat. Okay, so can you see this on the screen, the 12 names that are and actually, yeah, it is 12 names. Okay, these right here, this one in white, that is generally the ones that they call the white hat. Okay. They have a white, it has white lettering, etc. right here. And generally, whenever I've seen them, it has a black background, though. So that's still, again, not us. That's, and it may even be what they call
ain't gonna keep you out of jail, girl.
You know,
all this bullshit ain't gonna keep you out of jail.
And so the ones called white hat, here, let me make the background what I think it is. John Doe, yes. And then here, these are the subjects. Those in their proper, when we raise them from the dead, this is what they look like, right here. And then this is the heirs right here. And then this is ENS LEGIS. These two are ENS LEGIS, which is creatures of the law. So now, you can kind of see where we're going with this when you're talking about things like banking and termination of corporate contracts and all of that. These right here, we heirs do not use these. We don't use these last three. We use these. John Doe, John Doe, John Doe in red. Because if you really think about it, even in all lowercase letters, we're still here breathing and living and everything. So if we're going to manifest on paper, we would need to manifest in red to signify the bloodline and the birthright. Okay? Just one moment. Okay. Now, So now, are there any questions about this? I still have some questions about it, but I wanted to put it out there because, again, this is a study for all of us to do the study. And I know this one right here, I'm very, very sure about this. These, I'm sure about all of them, really, because we know that the subjects right in blue, and then there's some others, green and purple, where subjects are concerned. So, for example, and I don't want to talk too much about what they do, because this is not really for them. This is study for us to do. But this right here, in purple, is where when the subjects were so proud to serve the Moors that they would go around saying, I'm from the house of Richie, or I'm from the house of Bay, or the house of L. When that's something for subjects to say. And they would be so proud to serve the Moors that they would call themselves royalty, whereas the Moors are the nobility. And nobility has much heavier sovereign weight than royalty. Royalty is actually only gains its ability to say that it's royal from the Moors. And royalty only exists, and this is key, royalty only exists, and you can look out there right now, royalty only exists when the Moors are not present, so to speak. We've always been present. There's nowhere that we are not. But royalty is when we say to the subjects, okay, subject, you go and do this. Go and do this and go and do that. And royalty is, and that's why when the Moors woke up, those ones wearing crowns and all of that moved out of the way. Because they're no longer royalty when we're standing and awake and aware. And we're always aware, but standing and governing. Okay? So when you talk about that 12th name, the 12th, they said the United States, the 12th. That means that there's 11 other United States. So one of the United States is this. Here, let's go ahead and put that. This is one. This is one. This is one. Another one is, we can put this back to blue because they're subjects. This is one. And this one, this blue United States in all lowercase letters is the subjects who were claiming to be the sovereign state. This is the different derivatives of that. And then there's this one, which is the one where we are without the United States. Sometimes when you look in the media and they're talking about the one doing business that was previously doing business as Joe Biden, etc., you will see them put, not Joe Biden, but I'm sorry, but Donald Trump, the one that was previously doing business as Donald Trump. You will see them put in the newspaper, it will be like this. In all lowercase letters, in black. Okay. So this is, and then there's this one, the white hat United States, with no capital letters. And sometimes when you listen to those, there's one doing business as Anna Von Wright, a hybrid who is, she has done a great job of hypothecating the information of who we are. Her information is corrupted, so let's be sure to put that out there. And by corrupted, that's not a put down; it's a truth. If you know, if something is corrupted, it's just, it has something in it that does not apply to the living. That's what corrupted is. So that's not I'm not bad mouthing. It's truth. Corrupted at law. You will hear her talk about the United States in different you know, the United States with a capital U and a small s and a capital A, and you know, that whole fraudulent mix-up of trying to color our authority. Our authority is in red in all lowercase letters. That is the highest authority. Okay, on paper, it's in red in all lowercase letters. That's the highest authority. It is in capitis diminutio nolo. And in capitis diminutio minima is this with just one capital letter and the rest. And then in capitis diminutio maxima is this one. In capitis diminutio media for them is this. In capitis diminutio media is something like this, where they corrupt one of the words but not the other. So that's the difference with them. Okay. In capitis diminutio nolo, minima, media, and maxima. And when you're listening to, but again, the bottom line, don't be confused. Don't let any of this confuse you. The bottom line is any capital letter is a reduction in status. So even the heirs, because we are this on paper, we are in red in all lowercase letters, United States on paper, or Moorish National Republic Federal Government on paper in red in all lowercase letters. But this right here, if we say United States this way, this means that we have, that we're now talking about a subject sovereign. And when I say a subject sovereign, it has part of our essence. So that means that we're doing business in some way as we venture into commerce. Okay. And we start doing business, then it will be reflected on the paper with at least one capital letter, but still in red. Okay? So, again, do not run out and do anything until you study in capitis diminutio minima, media, and maxima. And more of that is going to be coming out over the next few days, weeks, and months. As soon as we say it, it starts popping up everywhere, a clearer study of it. And that's why we're bringing it up now. Because we're moving into our banking system. We're getting the banking base. The foundation is already laid. And now we're going to make it so that we'll be able to actually go onto the internet and see our banking transactions in red, starting in all lowercase letters, and then it will be in capitis diminutio minima, still in red. We don't come out of red. We don't need to come out of red. Okay? And when we're talking about the subjects and giving them commands, they're in blue. And generally, I put them in capitis diminutio minima because there is always still going to be a reduction in status to some degree. Okay. I see Justice Theodore is wrong. So, again, we're not at war. A war name is black ink in capital letters. And the hybrids knew that. They knew that from the beginning. We just needed to make sure that we know that we're not any name in black ink in capital letters. We're not any name in capital letters, period. When we put it in red and in capital letters, that is a creature of us, a creature of us. That is a creation of ours. That's still not us. It's a creation of us, a creature of the law. Okay? So now, before you change any paperwork or do anything, don't do anything, do the study first so that you're sure how this works. Because, again, anything that we create is living. And that's why we had to raise the subjects from the dead, because we did not create corpses, we created the living. And then some corruption came in, our lower selves, or the shadow of our lower selves. Let me put it that way, because our lower self is not even a corruption. It's pure. But the shadow of the lower self came in and corrupted. And so we want to make sure that we draw the lines clearly and carefully. But even when you see these, when they talk about the 12th United States, the 12th United States, depending on which direction you're going in history, the way Justice Theodore has it on the screen, then the 12th would be us, and it would be this United States right here in all lowercase letters, in red. This would be the 12th. But then when the hybrids wrote it, they were way down here. They were right here in black ink in all capital letters. So when you turn the pyramid back on its rightful place and on it, you know, have it where the point is at the top and not at the bottom, you're now talking about the heirs in red and all lowercase letters. Okay. And to be on the safe side, if you just want to stay safe and don't want to venture off into this study, then just do everything in red and all lowercase letters. And we will do that until after we have gotten a little bit better at articulating it. We know that it's the truth. We just want to articulate it. We want to be able to point to some things and articulate it. Now, we can point right now to the same things that we've been pointing to. The Constitution talks about capitation being a direct tax. So we could tax ourselves, but why would we do that? However, where commerce is concerned, okay, this is where we want to be. United States in red and all lowercase letters, in capitis diminutio minima and in capitis diminutio maxima. This is how we can express ourselves with the systems that are on our land. Okay? So now, this is going to be very important. When you talk about state courts and turning those courts into Article 3 courts, when we use our courts, because we're not going to use their courts, the courts become ours the minute we step into them. So again, the hybrids don't own anything. Everything belongs to us. All systems belong to us. However, when you're talking about bank accounts and you're talking about documents and paper and things like that, everything that we do should always be in red. And I changed it from shall to should because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. Everything that I do will always be in red when I'm talking about us, whether it be in commerce or whether we're just talking about us, our sovereign, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo. Okay? So our banking system will be using this United States. So whenever you look in our banking system and it's talking about any of, we first had to come out of capitalism completely in our sovereign status. We had to do that. That had to be done. And it had to be done in red and all lowercase letters. And this is going to be confusing to some, and that's okay, because those who are supposed to get this will get it. And they'll be able to traverse and travel in commerce and navigate in commerce freely, okay, without fear of violation, okay? And again, it's not just because I'm saying it, it's because it's written in the law. And it's right down there in the bottom of the Constitution, very subtly. I've never heard anyone, I've never even seen anyone point that out and say, what's the 12th United States? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or this would be the 6th one. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These black ones would be 12 if they wrote it. But if we wrote it, then this is the 12th United States right here. Okay? It has everything to do with names versus appellations. It has everything to do with the tone. When you start looking into writing and the tone of writing, then you're starting to get into the colors and what they mean. Okay. What does red mean? Red means that a command is being given by a sovereign. That's what red means. A command is being given by a sovereign. Blue is, when we put it in blue, that means we are talking to our subjects. And then the subjects, whenever the Moors got out of when we went to sleep, the subjects then said, okay, we're going to create this creature right here in all black ink. We're going to create this creature, and we're going to use this corporate status to rule over the sleeping heirs until they wake up and put themselves back here in red and all lowercase letters. Right here. This will not be confusing when we know what color of law means. What you're looking at right here is colored. This is color of law right here, where in black, that's colored. That's color of law. It looks like this in red. It looks like it, but it's not it. It looks like it, but it's not it. That's not it. Color, just as Theodore put in the chat, an appearance, semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real. A prima facie or apparent right, but it's not the real one. Hence, a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior concealing a lack of reality, a disguise or pretext. Yes. That is what colored, yes, Justice Yezreel, that's good. Wavelengths as well comes in color. Light comes in different colors. And then when you talk about chromosomes and colored people, chromosomes, and this is where our chromosomal count is different from the hybrid. Yes, we do have a different chromosome count from them. We have a different chromosome count. Let's look up the word chroma. And you can find it under chromosome. It will be broken down under chromosome. See, the matriarch is white in chromosomal color. So in other words, it's the absence of color. The absence of color. That's what chroma means. And soma means body. Let's go ahead and look that up real quick. Okay. Here in this dictionary, chroma is defined as, it's a noun. And it's in German, it means a color. It says the purity of a color, determined by its degree of freedom from white or gray color intensity. So chromosome has everything to do with color, except the matriarch is without color. We're not colored in terms of calling people colored people. That's really where it comes from. Scientifically, we are without color. We're not colored in any way. The sovereign, that means the sons too, not colored in any way. And that's why color of law and color of authority is a hypothecation, because there's color in it that removes its purity. Okay? So chromosomally, we have XX, which is, we could go into X-men and all of that, but let's stay on task. XX means, instead of XY or some other letters, variables, let's use variable. We could say letters, but let's use variable. XX, those are two lowercase x's in red. Or they could be in white, where chromosomes are concerned. So again, the information that we were given in the hybrid school was for them and not for us. We are without color. But all other colors come from us. So when you look at, let's just use a natural, something natural like a diamond. When you look at diamonds under light, under natural light, the diamond itself looks white, clear. But then when it casts a shadow onto the wall, when it reflects the whole spectrum of colors. It reflects in a rainbow style with a lot of different colors. So all other color came from us. Yes, a prism. That is correct, Justice Theodore. Thank you for that. So all other color comes from us, but we are pure and white. That's where sovereign white status comes from. It starts with mother, and it goes out to everyone else. And only mother can delegate that, and all coming from the womb of mother are sovereign and white. Yes, Justice Frank says color is anything that has been painted, varnished, stained, etc. Yes. He said when you were born, mother did not get a paintbrush to paint you. Correct. So, yes, Justice Yezro, that's good too. Color is a covering to hide what's underneath, as in COVID-19, color, cover, COVID. Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's why the mask. because it's hiding something. So, and that's why we don't wear them. Okay. So, yes, a mask is a false face. A mask is a nom de guerre. So if we're trying to do business in a nom de guerre, which is the black one, then we're wearing a false face. And that's where people get in trouble. See, someone back in the day, some Moors back in the day did their study on ENS LEGIS, and they knew that it's not a false face, it's a creature of the law. That means we create it and use it as law to do things, to accomplish things in that dimension, whichever dimension we're manifesting in. We use an ENS LEGIS to manifest in that dimension. However, it's still not us. It is a creation of ours. So let's make that clear. ENS LEGIS is a creature of the law, and we're the law and we're the government. So when you talk about banking, and if anyone has anything going on where fake courts are concerned, now that we put those fake courts in subject status, okay, yes, Justice Jezreel, it has a function, but it was misused. Capital letters have a function, but they were misused. ENS LEGIS has a function, but it was misused and hypothecated as a black corpse. Okay? So now, anyone who has anything going on with fake courts and things like that, where the fake courts are trying to exert some jurisdiction of some kind, put whatever they're using, put it in red. So if they have something where they're trying to say, let's just say, here, I'll put it right up here at the top, where they're saying, and they're going to put it in black, so let's put it in black, where they'll say, for example, if they were saying, and usually what they'll do is put the last name first and the first name last. It depends. But if they're saying John Doe, let's say state, this is how they put it, state of Washington, we'll just use that as an example, versus John Doe. And let me just make that a little bigger so we can see it. This is how they will do it. Well, that's their creation, that's their creature, it has nothing to do with the Moors. But what the Moors can do, where the sovereign-born appellation is concerned, is we can say, let's make sure we put it in its proper ENS LEGIS format. We can do it like this. If we want to make ourselves known as to, okay, they want to use something, and I'll just use me as an example. And that would be if I was being a corporation, a sovereign corporation. And let's make sure we put this in its proper status. Because see, the only way that we can speak to them is when we put them in subject status. We don't talk to corpses. We just raise the corpse from the dead, like we're supposed to. So then we would do it this way. Just one second. I don't know why that keeps going all the way up there like that, but I'm trying to make sure I'm monitoring the chat as well. Okay. So then when we want to speak to them a certain way, we can put our document like this. Let's just say we wanted to, for example, when I was working at the VA Medical Center back in 2009, somewhere around there, 2008, 2009. It was, I believe, from 2006 to 2011, somewhere around there. I had a claim that I put in while I was there, and I was in my sleep, so I didn't know that I was a Moor and that I was the sovereign and that everyone there was subject who was acting in corporate status. But I could now go back and do it do this here. Let's remove this. I could go back now and put some paperwork in like this. And again, do the study on this before you change anything, before you demonstrate it. Do the study on in capitis, diminutio, minima, media, and maxima. Okay, and again, this is just something that we want to look at because we are the court, we are the law. We need to know this stuff because this is important. Okay, so we want to do, when we want to stay in our sovereign status, but we want to speak to a subject court. If I was suing, let's just say, because see, any suits like this right here, they're going to go through our courts, not theirs. They're going to go through our courts, but we can notify their courts this way. So, for example, there are some Moors on the east who are dealing with state courts holding them. Okay, now we can't tell sovereigns what to do. We've been putting this information out the whole time. Okay, but and sovereigns, no one can represent the sovereign. Okay, but if they wanted to speak in their sovereign status there, if I were them, I would do my document the first document that I send would be this way. I would always send, like the name change and judicial proclamation, you're always going to assert your sovereign status this way. You always want to do it in capitis, diminutio, nolo, because that is the highest status. So all of your beginning documents should always be, as we have stated previously, in red and all lowercase letters. They should always be that, because that's saying a sovereign is speaking with the highest status. So pay attention, because the law and commands are being given and written. Okay, so this is the highest status right here. But then when you want to, if you're doing, if you're going back and you're saying, okay, when I was in my sleep, I had a claim, and they basically just booted the claim to the side because they already know status over there on that side. They knew status. okay? So I'll put them in their proper status, and I can do it this way right here, or I can do it this way. Because at that time, that was who the Secretary of the Veterans Administration was. Okay. So, Moors, you want to do your study on this so that you can see, and so that you know that the less we don't use capital letters. The less capital letters you use, the higher the status. Okay, and that's according to the law in Capitis, diminutio, minimum, media, and maxima. In the definitions, the loss of status, and again, we never have a loss of status. We're always in our proper status. But when we start venturing into commerce and things like that, then we may go to this status right here, but it's got to still be in red. And don't let anybody tell you that, oh, our copy machine only copies in black. Then it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It has to come from us. Any documents that have anything to do with our status must come from us. They must be created by us, and they must be sent and delivered by us. No one else gets to determine our status on their documents. We do that. So let us make sure that we keep that in mind, that we're not accepting any documents from anyone who's not us. Yes, Justice Jezreel, that's really good. Capitals are used to create sigils in sigil magic. Yes. And if you look at the ancient hieroglyphs, when our ancestors, you'll see some of them in capital letters. But they don't put the capital letters and the lowercase letters together because that's not how they did things, because of what the capital letters stood for. Capital letters are a whole sigil. It's a sign of something. In other words, it represents more than one letter. It represents a series of words. It's a picture. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. So capital letters are pictures. That's why we're in Capitis, diminutio, nolo. And again, I'm just putting this out here for our study so that we as a nation can study together how to proceed. Yes, Latin did not have caps originally, and it didn't even, yes, that's correct. There's some other things we could say about the original Latin and how we wrote it, but we'll save that for another time. Okay, so let us, we just wanted to put this out here for further study so that we can take a look at it and know that we do have an ENS LEGIS that is a creature of the law, and that ENS LEGIS, because it's a creature of the law, which is us, and where it says here an artificial being as contrasted with a natural person, that is exactly what we're saying. An ENS LEGIS is something, it's not us, it is a creature that we create. Okay? And it cannot be in black ink. Black ink is for blacks. And we're not black. We're white. That's a status at law, sovereign and white. So I want to, make this clear that, again, this is not, because we don't give out commands or anything like that. This is for our study so that we can look at it and determine how we want to proceed. In banking and all of that, again, that being or entity the artificial being that does banking, okay, is not us. The sovereigns don't need to do banking, but we create the artificial being for this dimension that does. Okay? When we're in our sovereign status and all things being taken away in terms of corpses and things like that, we don't even need to do banking or anything. We just go to the land and pick what we want and we consume it and use it and do what we do. However, that's not how the vast estate manifests. The vast estate manifests in terms of commerce and banking and accountability, giving account for everything on the vast estate and for the things that we do. That's why we use banking. And that's why we use creatures of the law. But in the biblioteliotheque, it even talks about us having dominion over all the creatures. We have dominion over the corpses too. That's why we can raise them from the dead and tell them, okay, now you're a living subject. The color or tone of the writing is so important. It's very important on how we manifest. Now, I'll tell you this about the white lettering. This white lettering right here, when I was in the POW camp, and this is how I knew that something was a little different. When I was in the POW camp, those who did as commanded had white letters on their black uniform. They had all capital letters, and it was manifested like this right here. That's on the screen right now. It was manifested white letters in all capital letters with a black background. And they did exactly as commanded. When we raised them from the dead, okay, then the same thing happened on this past Saturday. It was either Friday or Saturday. I believe it was Saturday. I came across in my daily activity, I came across some subjects that were policy enforcers. And I put them in their proper status and, you know, again, they know who the sovereigns are. We do court actions on them, and that's how we speak to them, is by court action. And I spoke to them by court action, handed them served them with some documents, and went on about my way. Now, remember, meanwhile, the black that we sent to Guantanamo Bay, this one right here, the Pauline Denise Ritchie Moore or Pauline Denise Ritchie or Pauline Moore, whatever that creature was in black ink and capital letters, that black thing, we issued a warrant for its arrest, and then they issued 3 warrants. They executed those 3 warrants that all blacks have, those unexecuted warrants. And when I say blacks, I'm talking about those who do business like this in black letters. All who do business in black letters, black ink and capital letters have 3 unexecuted warrants, and in many cases those warrants are already executed. And that's why whenever they run across you on the side of the road, they don't care. It's a broken tail light, come on, go to jail. Because you're showing us a document, a driver's license with black ink and capital letters on it. That means, okay, you go to jail, or at least we're going to give you a ticket to invoke jurisdiction over you, because you're using documents that belong to the dead. Okay. So, are there any questions or comments at all about the ENS LEGIS and the difference between ENS LEGIS and a nom de guerre? And again, I want to thank all of the Moors who, in the past, before I woke up, there were Moors out there who were doing the work. Okay. And I don't know if I want to say appellations or not, but there are more Science Temple Moors who were doing the work also. I see some of their stuff in the system, and some of them paid a price. Most of them paid a price, especially the ones who were sincere in what they were doing, and they were really working to uplift fallen humanity, and still ended up going through those fake courts, and they were doing all they could to try and invoke their sovereign status, but they didn't necessarily have all the information that we have today. We honor their work as well, because when we started, we didn't have information where we could actually look at and see that the tone and the color, colored people, color of law, that we're none of that. We are actually the people and the law. That's the difference. Either you're colored people or you're the people. Either you're color of law or you're the law. The difference being what you say and how you express that in this dimension where paper is, where affidavits are important, etc. Islam, nobility.
I have observed in Trinidad, I think I also saw it with the U.S. flag, that rather than having the red, blue, and white, they would have it in black and white. Similarly, in Trinidad, I observed a policeman, a law enforcer, wearing the Trinidad and Tobago flag without the red, white, and black. All he had was, I think it was white and blue. What is the significance of that?
The difference is there's not a difference when you're talking about the heirs speaking. So where you're concerned, there's no difference between them except that blue or white means they're living, but they're still subject to the Moors. And black, anytime you see black, it's going to mean death or dead. Back in the early, I believe it was either 1400s or 1600s, somewhere around there between that time period, there were people who, they said that this plague broke out and it was called the Black Death. Well, they're talking about when the Moors first started using black letters and accepting that as a status when it's not. So whenever you see black, you already know there's something dead going on there and it needs to be raised. That means it's in corporate or corpse status. So when you're speaking to those entities or beings, just make sure that you speak to them, you raise them from the dead. Any part of them that might be dying or dead, you raise them from the dead, and then you speak to them and put them in subject status. Because any status that's not read is lower in terms of their status than the Moors. And the Moors are the only, and when I say Moors, I'm talking about all Moors. I'm talking about Moors that's doing that call themselves Hebrew Israelites and Cherokees and all that. They're all red. They're just like we are in all lowercase letters. They're Hebrew Israelites in all lowercase letters. They're Cherokees in all lowercase letters in red ink. And when we see any other colors, we just speak to those colors. We just call everything that's there. We bring it to life and then speak and give whatever commands or law, make the law however we make it. So when you see policy enforcers with different colors and all of that stuff, it's no matter. You don't even have to start thinking about, well, what does this color mean? What does that mean? It doesn't matter. You're red. You're the sovereign. So just all rise and stand, raise any deadness raise it to life and speak. All rise and stand is the command, the universal command for raising the dead into living, speaking life. And when the Biblioteliotext talks about God breathed the breath of life into man, and man became a living soul, that's all we're doing when we say all rise and stand. So again, you don't have to, but I encourage all Moors to do the study, going on down the rabbit hole. Go on down the rabbit hole on this, because this is going to, having clarity on this is going to assist us as we continue doing what we're doing. Okay? And creating the systems that we need in order to do what we need to do. This is going to be important where our banking system is concerned, because we're launching our banking system off of ancient platforms that these current, or that the previous platforms like, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and all of them do in corporate court status, we had to raise them from the dead and then speak to them and tell them that the living is here. Yes, this is the return of the Christ. And when I say the return of the Christ, all Moors are the Christ. And us returning back to the ways of our foremothers and forefathers means we have the authority to speak life into any man. And when I say man, I mean as a species, which includes women, on the planet. Bring them to life and then put them to work. Bring them to life and put them to work. Or the ones that have been operating in corp status and they're now in subject status, we can just tell them, well done, our good and faithful servant. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments?
Islam. Cynthia Ann Bay here. Thank you for this demonstration. This is a rebuttal to Anna von Reed's affidavit of the American Assembly that they are the law. Now, for the record, we all know who is the law and why. So I thank you for this demonstration. Islam.
Yes, Islam. And I'll say this more. Any of the stuff that's been written by any of the hybrids, we can put it in its proper status and use it. Everything that they write is going to be written in black ink in capital letters or black ink in capitis diminutio minima, however, whatever. But even if it's written in purple or green or whatever, white or whatever colors they chose to use, sometimes you see them, they use gold lettering and all of that. It's all, yes, it's all resources that we can use. We can look at it and just put it in red, do the study on the word, put it in red and use it. And that is what started this whole thing. Yes, it's the Christ degree. The Christ degree is the tone. It's red. In those red letter Bibles, the Christ spoke in red. Yes. In those red letter Bibles, the Christ spoke in red, and that hasn't changed. We still speak in red. They knew tone, and they were trying to give us a hint. That's why when we were going to sleep, and they were like, okay, you can't read anything but the Bible, they put it in all black letters. And then they said, okay, the Moors are starting to wake up. Let's do a red letter edition Bible. Let's do a red letter edition, and we know they know how to read the Bible because we put, when they were asleep, we had them in quote unquote church. So maybe they'll look at the Bible, the red letter edition Bible, and figure out that that's how they're supposed to be speaking. And the red letter edition Bible is not the only way that we know that the tone of what we say is supposed to be in red and all lowercase letters. Okay? But anyone who has any questions about which United States we are, just look at the Constitution, look down at the bottom where it says United States the 12th, because that's what brought all, as I've been studying the Constitution in depth down to the letter, I'm looking at the Constitution, and we'll present the Constitution tomorrow. We will present it tomorrow, copies of it for you to download and use and give to the subject. See, a lot of times over the past 2-3 years, we have been saying, okay, we need subject status documents. No, we don't need subject status documents to give to the subject. We really don't, and that's why it never really full-scale manifested. It didn't full-scale manifest because their first document is going to be the Constitution in blue. But when you talk about we the people at the beginning, that's in red because it's us giving it to them. So we're putting it back in the status that our ancestors gave it to them in. When our ancestors gave them the Constitution, the we the people, the preamble was in red. And then it had just a few words in it that were blue, and that's the United States for the Constitution for, and then the United States of America. That United States, and you'll see it tomorrow. We'll go through it tomorrow. Yes, Justice Amos says it was always the red letter scripture that you connected with when you were in the church. Yes, yes. I just wondered why, when I saw red letter edition Bible, Justice Amos and you know, to the Morris, when I saw it, I just wondered why only part of the Bible was in red letter edition. Why is it that you only see red letter in the New Testament and not the old one? Wasn't God speaking in the old one, in the Old Testament? What happened? Where was God in the Old Testament that there was no words in red? That was my question. Come to find out, God was speaking throughout the Old Testament. When God said, let there be light, that should have been in red. Let us make man in our image. That should have been in red. But the red is for this manifestation. The red is for the human manifestation of God to speak. But when we are in our spirit manifestation, then lettering is not even needed, because the letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. That's in the Bibliotheliotech and in the ancient writings, just like that. The letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. And when the spirit was in Jesus, the Yeshua, Yahweh, and all of those other names, Allah, when the spirit manifested in Allah, in the flesh, that's where the red writing comes in at. We are Allah manifested in the flesh. That's in the Quran. So if you look at all the holy books, they tell us who we are and how we speak and all of that. All we have to do is look. Look and then do. Do some study and then manifest it. Any other questions, comments? Thank you in the chat. So much wisdom in the chat. So much wisdom. Yes, we are the Old Testament, that's Ramos. And I'll say this. The entire Bibliotheliotech is filled with Moors all over the place. But they threw a Moor in there in one of the scriptures. If you Google Moors in the Bible, you'll see some scriptures where it says Moor in there. That's another hint. But they couldn't put it but once or twice throughout the whole Bible. They put it in there. Moors are in the Bible, mentioned in the Bible. But they were not going to put it in there and tell you that everybody in the Bible was a Moor. They're not going to tell you that. That in the original ancient text, there were no hybrids. There were only Moors. And again, when I say Moors, that encompasses all of the nation. Yes, Islam. With that being said, if there are no other questions, comments, etc., peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heir, Islam.
Peace and grand rising heirs.
Islam.
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 Peace and grand rising.
Islam.